So thank you for tuning in. My name is Michael Hallock, and I'm actually a therapist. I use mostly the waterwork Watsu healing dance as modality, and I'm a meditation teacher. I teach meditation, mindfulness, and I want to thank everybody at the Unconference for putting all this together and actually giving me a chance to articulate something that's been stirring in me, something about connection and harmony, and something uh, that's actually quite important to me. So uh, I've been in Bali during this Corona period. And at the beginning of this time, before we were asked to stay inside, I actually visited a water temple with a local friend, Wayan. And as we walked back from this temple, he said, I just prayed that everything returns to normal. And I just stopped and I said, no, I said, please, not back to normal. We're doing far too much harm to this earth and we can't go back to normal. And I don't know how you found it where you're living, but you've probably seen some of the images or videos of animals, of wildlife taking back the city streets. Here in Bali, I've seen nature that I've never seen before, these amazing caterpillars and butterflies and spiders and life that starts to come back when we've retreated a little bit inside. And this stopping is an opportunity for us in lots of ways. And I'd like to think of it like a fast. And again, I don't know all of you who are listening to this, but if you've ever gone on a fast before, or even had a long time without eating, then when you finally eat again, there's an immense pleasure. So they say that hunger makes a great chef. So when you actually break your fast, then your senses are more heightened. So when we eat again after fasting, we appreciate more, we savor more, and we don't take the food for granted. Same if you've gone without water, the same thing. There's an immense pleasure and gratitude. So I want to propose this Corona time as an opportunity for all of us to participate or to acknowledge a kind of fasting time from social contact, from our normal busyness, our normal activity. And just like when we eat again and we come back to what we were doing normally before, we come back with a new appreciation and a new kind of awareness, a new mindfulness. So this possibility to stop is actually an opportunity for a new appreciation. So a new possibility to begin again with a greater awareness that we didn't have before. I spent some time at a monastery called the Plum Village. And some of you probably already know that place. That's started by a monk named Thich Nhat Hanh. And we had a really beautiful practice at that center. And that was a mindfulness gong. So we'd be eating whatever the mealtime, and all of a sudden, gong, and you just freeze. You'd be like in mid-bite and you just freeze. And at that point, everyone would stop. Everyone in the whole monastery would stop. And the opportunity was to tune in and notice, where am I? Where am I in my body? Where am I with my mind? Where am I with my awareness, my thoughts? And what happened was, when we would then, in a moment later, gradually start to eat or talk or do whatever we were doing before the gong, we would come back with a new awareness and a more a vivid connection to whatever we were participating in. So it brought a aliveness. So it called us back in the moment. And that's what I want to suggest that we can use this time for. Um, my friend Mahalakshmi, maybe she's out there listening somewhere. She, even before the corona, she said, we need to just call a sacred stop. All of the havoc that's being wreaked upon the earth and upon animals. Okay, so yeah, so it actually really moves me. It really touches me, and I used to think that uh, that my my sensitivity was a weakness because I feel things really deeply. And as I've come to really appreciate myself and appreciate sensitivity, I've come to acknowledge that as a real gift, that sensitivity is a gift. And rather than me being too sensitive, I'm actually calling on others to be more sensitive. So in fact, what I'm sharing with you now is a call for everyone to be more sensitive. So yeah, so it's a call to be more sensitive. How are we treating each other? How are we treating the earth? How are we treating ourselves? So this time for me is this sacred stop that my friend was asking for even before it happened. So it's a chance for the earth to rest and a chance for us to ask ourselves, how am I moving in my life? What are my values? Uh, what choices do I want to make? What choices am I making? Have I been making? What choices do I want to make moving forward in terms of my life? So when we are acting out of habit, there's a certain kind of unconscious quality. So by definitions, habits are automatic. So we don't think about them. They're just going on. So that's why in a mindfulness practice, for example, we break the habit. It's like a circuit breaker. We stop. So in that stopping, there's then a fresh start, and then there's a new looking. There's a fresh look at what's going on outside of it and inside. So for me, and I want to suggest that potentially for everyone, that this corona period is that mindfulness bell, is that gong, and is that sacred stop. So for me, I find this is not only an opportunity for myself, but I feel it's a collective opportunity because we have this mindful gong, the corona experience, the quarantine, etc., for the whole world. And that's an interruption in our normal habits, and one that can allow us to reflect upon our lives. So it gives us an opportunity to reflect and begin in a new way. For my own life, this has given me a break from so much busyness. I looked at my schedule last year and I was hopping from one retreat, teaching and training, and hopping on a flight. And I just looked at my schedule last year and just said, oh my God, I get tired just looking at this thing. So this has really given me a break from my own busyness. And I'm fortunate to be spending time with a wonderful woman. And we cook meals together. So it's so good. We get food delivered to the door from a local organic farm. And we prepare the food sometimes almost immediately. The food is picked and it comes to us, and we prepare it. I'm planting vegetables in the garden. I'm growing avocados from the seed and planting them. I've got several avocados little budding trees out there, and we planted aloe vera and tomato plants and some spices. And so this has been a chance for me to really connect with the earth in a special way. I've got compost bins out there that I've been starting months ago, and the worms are turning those food scraps into compost. And I don't know all of you guys watching, but I love that whole process. And I love to feel connected to the earth. I love to get out there and water and get my hands in the earth. And I don't remember feeling so connected to nature and the earth as I have in this time. So that's part of this opportunity that I'm taking. I found that being with my girlfriend, we have more time together. So that means that, you know, we're sharing more than we would normally. There's more vulnerability between us. So we've actually gotten closer. So as I said, I'm in Bali. And in Bali, there's a concept of this tree hita karana. And that basically is a principle in the Balinese life, which is about harmony between human to human, human to nature, and human to God. Very spiritual people, very connected people. And this Trihita Tikarana is one of the main principles that they live by, establishing and cultivating harmony amongst themselves, harmony with nature, and harmony with spirit. And that's part of the inspiration, what I want to explore with you today, that we have this innate connection to life that we don't always acknowledge. We have this connection to nature and community and relationship to life itself. And that relationship is actually the foundation for our health, for our thriving. And my experience is through mindfulness, through meditation, etc., is that the more deeply we feel connected, the more awareness we have, the more that taking care, feeling empathy comes naturally. And this dynamic is in play, whether that's a relationship with the soil, with the elements, with people, with animals, so that noticing, listening, paying attention, awareness basically, that awareness engenders care. Connection creates care. And so this session, me speaking this evening where I am, is an appeal and a reminder to bring greater awareness to all of our interactions in order to foster connection and care, compassion. This is basically an appeal for empathy, for greater feeling, and for connection through feeling. And I actually believe that this is the awakening that humanity needs. This connection, this greater connection with each other, with the land, with the elements, with animals. That our separation, our disconnection is the reason that we've got ourselves in such a mess. And that the way out of that mess is our reconnection. I experiment with what's called nonviolent communication or compassionate communication. And that is part of this revolution of kindness through connection. And it's about listening, it's about feeling another person. Because if I feel you, or when I feel you, then your pain affects me. And your joy also affects me. I share it, so I naturally want your happiness. Very Buddhist notion also. And so we also can extend that to the animal world. When I feel what's happening for an animal, even an insect, then I say, how can I help this creature? But that's when I feel in connection. It's only when I feel in connection. It's not when I maintain the sense of separation and other, but it's in the willingness to feel, to empathize, to connect. That vulnerability that happens through connection. I don't know if if it happens for you in the same way, but perhaps it does. Um, you know, when you get really quiet and you listen, even a leaf is a wonder. And you can see that life is emanating from every vine, from every flower, that life is expressing, communicating, sharing. And from this feeling of connection, there's a natural instinct to take care. And from my vantage point, that's a lot of what's missing in our world right now. And that's what I want to um, help remind us all. That my connection, or that our connection with the elements, for example, the water, the pure water, that makes me honor and treasure the water itself, makes me want to protect. And same with the fresh air, the soil. So this connection brings empathy, and it brings my compassionate action, it brings my caring action. So my care naturally emerges when I feel connected. So connect with the earth and the water and the air, and that means honor the earth, the water, and the sky. Connect with the animals, that means honor the animals. And connect with my partner, that means honor her and act also for her happiness. And I realize that these aren't all, we don't always have easy choices to make. I want to have a building project. I want a home. So a home means a footprint. So there are compromises, but a mindful awareness always brings connection, and through connection, our actions also consider others, or also actions also consider the environment. Mm. So I wonder what has moved you in what I've shared, and what this has maybe brought up for you. I have just a little bit more to share with you, and then I'd like to hear from anyone who would like to share. Um, my sense is, and again, I'd like to know what you also experience, but my sense is, if I feel connected and belonging to the whole, then I care about how my actions affect the whole, because that affects me. And that if you feel connected to something, you naturally treasure it, and you want to nurture it. And it's my experience that a kind of a mindful awareness, the kind that we can experience now in this sacred stop, in this mindful gong of Corona time, that this mindful awareness that we now have the possibility to inhabit can renew our connection with each other, connection with the earth. And that's my hope. So this time that I'm sharing with you is an appeal for mindfulness, and to use Corona as a sacred stop, time to slow down, give us an opportunity to feel again, feel ourselves, feel each other, feel the earth, feel the animals, to notice more, and to make compassionate choices to honor ourselves, honor each other, and honor the nature of which we are a part. And I will close with a quote from Hafiz, one of my great teachers. And Hafiz says, "Once a man came to me and spoke for hours about great visions of God he felt that he was having. And he asked for my confirmation, saying, 'Are these wondrous dreams true?' I replied, 'How many goats do you have?' He looked surprised and said, 'Hafiz, I'm speaking of sublime visions, and you ask about goats?' And I spoke again, 'Yes, brother. How many do you have?' 'Well, Hafiz, I have 62. And how many wives?' Again, he looked surprised and then said, 4. 'How many rose bushes?' 'How many rose bushes in your garden, and how many children? And are your parents still alive? And do you feed the birds in the winter?' And to all he answered, 'Then I said, you asked me if I thought your visions were true. I would say that they were if they made you more human and more kind to every creature and plant that you know.' So I want to thank you for spending this time, those of you who are with us. And I want to hear about, I would like to guide the talk a little bit. I'd love to hear about how you have found greater connection in this sacred stop, greater connection with yourself or with other beings or with nature, and what kind of intentions you have moving forward. And if anything that I shared has touched you, reached you in any way. So I would love to open this up for other participants to share. So I'm going to see if I can do that. Okay, you can hear me. Does anyone want to share? Let me see, there's a participants list here. So we have a few friends online. I'm going to unmute you. Maybe that can work. You're all unmuted. And now it's not just me anymore. So everybody's unmuted. Would anyone like to share? There's a very handsome man here. A photo but no voice. Iker Puente, are you there? Jose Cruzet, are you there? No. Anika Gunawan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just reflecting on what you just said. Beautiful talk, by the way. So I just feel that this.
I'm gonna mute 1 second. I'm gonna mute Mr. Jose because he's having dinner somewhere. Hold on a second. Okay, we're gonna mute. Mute. Okay. Okay. Anyone else like to speak after Anika? If anyone else would like to share after Anika, please send me a note, okay? And then we'll get you on. Okay. And tomorrow we're going to mute you. Okay. Anika is still here. Anika?
Yes, still here. So yeah.
And still reflecting?
No. So yeah. First of all, thank you for a beautiful share. This concept of like sacred stop that nobody is sort of expecting, of course, it brings a lot of challenges also to reconnect to what really matters, I think. Because a lot of the time, you know, your sense of connection is shaped by either the job that you do or the people that you hang around with, but all of a sudden it's none of that, you know. Jobs can be swept away. The people that you used to hang around with, they're in isolation, so it's just you and your shadow. And maybe some of you would be with your family that can trigger a lot of shadows, and all of you stuck in this, like, you know, can be in an apartment, can be in the house and share space. So yeah, it's really interesting, the sacred stop, and the invitation to connect to, again, all sides of you. I think the shadow, the lights, the people that you love, the people that trigger you, and the Mother Earth, the elements, and yeah, definitely, it's sacred. This is the sense of connection that we all longing for, I think, and we've been craving, crying out for. This is here and right now. So thank you.
Thank you too. That's also quite moving for me, what you said about our opportunity to connect with ourselves amidst whatever's going on inside of us and whatever conditions that we have. My experience is that when you shine light on something, that is the light of your awareness. You're looking. That light alone is like a healing balm. That the revealing even of pain is a healing process. When we can hold space for ourselves or space for others and be in the awareness of what is alive, what is real, what is happening, even if it's uncomfortable. So this connection certainly is the invitation to connect is certainly also an invitation to connect with ourselves, even in the challenging moments. I was going to speak about it, but I didn't know if I would have time. I still don't. I'm going to look at the time. Anika, do you have the time there? I don't want to take away somebody else's time here. Let me just check the clock, and I will continue if we have more time.
I think you're 32 now.
32. Okay. So we've gone just a couple minutes over our time, so I won't. I'll just close with saying that this time gives us a chance to look at our values and how we're treating ourselves and how we're treating each other. And it's, for me, a real blessing in that way. And I hope that it may be for you also. Thank you.